The strange case of Jane X begins somewhere in East Texas and so far has tended to end here in the Hunt County Courthouse in Greenville. Jane was picked up last Wednesday by Greenville police wandering around in the south part of town. She's now in the Hunt County Jail, has been there since Wednesday, and will say nothing to anyone. Hunt County Sheriff's Office is trying to reach anyone who knows anything about Jane, but according to Sheriff R.W. Wood, she will say nothing and they know very little about the girl. Do you know what she's doing in Greenville or how she got here?
No, we have a bus ticket, I believe, that came from Texarkana here, and probably she came in on a bus from Texarkana.
Well, what are you going to do with the girl now?
Well, we don't know. We don't know whether she's juvenile, and juvenile officers are working with her, and we need to try to find some identification for her. She's running for something, we don't know what.
Today I tried talking myself to Jane, telling her that if she had a valid reason for not talking to authorities here in Greenville, that I would preserve her secret, but Jane would not even talk to me. Is there anyone that you would talk to in this area?
No.
Not even if they promise not to tell anyone?
No.
You have a Dallas address in your address book.
No, I don't.
When you, the word Dallas is in your address book. Will you talk to someone from Dallas?
No.
Is there anyone anywhere that you talk to?
No, while I'm in here. After I get out of here.
Has been able to find out about Jane is what he can learn from what she had with her. A beaded purse, an address book from which she tore the addresses out before anyone could read them, some aftershave, some hair conditioner, a razor, a piece of comb, and a box of matches, and the clothes she was wearing. They're still trying to find out about Jane X. This is Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News at the Hunt County Courthouse in Greenville.
We go into the 70s with the same problems that we've had in the 60s. A lot of them are hard to solve. It's my judgment that in addition to or along with the problems that we will continue to have, that we will see and should see an increased emphasis on our getting along with each other. You can call it law and order, you can call it campus unrest, whatever we like to call it, but this will continue to receive our attention and probably more attention than we've been giving it in the past. In addition to that, I think that we will see a great increase in the significance that we place upon our environment. The pollution of the air that we breathe and the water that we drink must receive more attention than we have been given it. These things are so vital to all of us and yet so difficult for us to understand, but in the big city areas along the coast of our country, particularly now, this has become a significant problem, and those of us in the interior of our country must also be working on it.
name is Annabelle Washington. That's really my name.
Annabelle, have you ever gone hungry and slept on the streets of Cleburne?
I didn't sleep on the streets, but I really did sleep in the car. I never have just plain slept out, out in the street, out in the street, just laying out in the street.
Have you ever wanted for food? I mean, have you been hungry?
Well, I was one time.
What about the other times? Have you been hungry for food?
Well, sometimes I need food, Sometimes I really do.
Hold it, Sherman.
You said something to the effect before that you didn't have to tell the black community constantly that you love them. How do you plan to let all of the community know that you're caring about them?
Well, I love you, Dallascites, black, white, yellow, brown, whatever color. And I don't have to tell you that, and I don't have to tell my wife every morning when I get up at breakfast that I love her, because she knows I do. And I don't think we should use the city council to tell the people in any community that we love them weekly.
What is your reaction to some of the technical arguments that some of the councilmen have given against this particular resolution but for others?
Hogwash.
What basis do you think the council should make resolutions?
I think anything that is of public concern, of interest to the community, any councilman has a right to offer a resolution. And an appointment of a resolutions committee by the mayor or by the council, notwithstanding, I still think we've got that right.
in this decade of the 70s, in a time when there's strife and turmoil in this land. I know him to be a man of reason, of fairness, of justice, and one who is totally committed to dedicate the days, the years of his life to enriching the lives of all of us in Texas and to help these United States in these troubled times. And I support him. I told him that I would either endorse him or denounce him, whichever he felt would be most helpful to him. And at least up to this point, he's felt like an endorsement would be the most helpful, and I am very pleased to do it.
Well, primarily our main objective right now is to find what the company's intentions are as to where the production from the Dallas plant will be going to, what other plants will be producing the cars that we're producing now. Does the union intend to press for a better working agreement with the company as far as relocation is concerned, perhaps more relocation money or better relocation facilities? Well, I couldn't say very much about our intentions right now, but actually negotiations primarily will be where are our people going here, just what are they going to be getting, whether it's a matter of some who will be getting retirement benefits and some who will be relocating, etc. This would be in no way any type of a contract negotiation to gain benefits other than just to try to get the benefits that we have coming under our present agreement. How many men have indicated to you in the local union that they will relocate? Actually, I have no figures on that because we haven't been able to tell them what they could expect and whether it would be more profitable to them to remain here or to move. We're getting the figures as quickly as we can on a breakdown on seniority, and as soon as we have some definite information to feed to our people here, then they'll be better able to make a determination as to whether they want to relocate or stay in this area.
They're checking out numerous leads, but at this point they have no definite suspects.
No suspects have been picked up at this time?
No. We are contacting other law enforcement agencies, and we have asked the FBI to come into this case. We did at the outset, and we have sent off some tools we believe to be evidence, physical evidence, to their lab in Washington.
Now, do you believe this to be work of local people, or do you think these are people from out of town?
Well, at this point, it's a tough determination to make. We consider whoever did this to be professionals in their field.
Now, are any of the old safe pros around Dallas, are they being hauled in for questioning, or what? How is your investigation being conducted? Do you know?
Well, we're not hauling them in for questioning. We are checking every avenue that's possible, feasible, or comes to our attention. This would include anyone that we'd have reason to believe would be a suspect in this case.
Annabelle, what is your name?
around the country on a moment's notice and moves into any office in order to audit that particular office, looking for this particular type of loan.
How many such loans do you suspect of being made in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
At this point, I don't have any suspects at all. I will say this, that we are examining all offices. We don't care where they might be. As I said, it's just kind of like shaking up the hat or putting our finger right on the map, and that's where our team goes and that's where they inspect. And we're not witch hunting, I might mention that. We also are finding out some good things that we're able to use operation-wise. At this point, let me say that my blood hits a boiling point every time somebody mentions mafia. I am a taxpayer too, and I don't want any part of my tax dollars going into the hands of those who make a profit out of creating human misery through crime and corruption.
What would you like to see the school board do in this regard?
I would like the school board to state that no Mexican-American child should be reprimanded or should be told not to speak his mother tongue, the Spanish language, in the public schools. Hopefully someday we will have bilingual instruction, hopefully. And I feel that we have a very competent school board, and I feel that they will respond to this presentation.
Bob, is there a big problem in the Dallas Public School District toward speaking of Spanish in and on the campus?
Coaches, I don't know that there's a problem toward the speaking of Spanish. I think part of the confusion is that for, at least to my knowledge, in some schools of the district, there has been not a policy per se, but a feeling on the part of some of the teachers that Spanish should not be spoken in the halls. And I think it's probably due to the fact that they don't always know what the students are saying when they're speaking in Spanish. I think this is something that certainly is no longer in effect in most schools, and I think a little information put out from 3700 Ross to the schools certainly would stop any ongoing of this informal policy.
Well, at the time that we voted to keep the school open, back in the middle of 1969, I felt that the people in the community had not had enough notice that the superintendent and the school administration wanted to close the school. And the people came down to the school board meeting and explained to us how much the school meant to that part of town. And I felt like that if the people were interested in their school and that this was kind of a shock to them, that they needed more time to make this adjustment. I think we all would agree that the teaching situation is not good. Anytime you have a middle school and a high school on the same campus, we know that it's not the best interest of the students. Now, my reason for asking that it be closed in September 71 is that we know that it should be closed and given time, for the reasons I've just stated.
Three days ago, Patrolman Robert Henderson Shipp turned 21. Last night, he died with 2 slugs in his chest and side. Robert joined the force in August of '68 under the 19-and-a-half-year-old program. While waiting for training at the police academy, he worked as an undercover agent for the Vice Squad. At the academy, he was just another average rookie cop. But in his file This is entered. He should develop into a good police officer. After graduation, he was assigned to the patrol division. Last night, Robert and his partner, E.E. Hardy, gave chase after a car driven by James Millage, age 27. When they finally curbed the car here, Millage resisted arrest after not being able to produce his driver's license. Millage's brother, David, age 29, came out of the house and got into the hassle. In the scuffle, James Millage grabbed Hardy's gun and shot Robert, but not before Hardy was able to free Robert's gun and get off 2 shots, one of which went through James Millage's neck. David Millage was hit on the head and was finally subdued in the scuffle. Both brothers were charged with the murder of police officer Robert Henderson Shipp, police badge number 2624. Classmates at Samuel High School said he was an outstanding athlete. His mother said he gave up playing football for that of carrying a badge. He was a good policeman all the way through. Carl Mayo, Channel 8 News.
Reverend, exactly what did you want the Dallas City Council to do that they did not do?
Well, we were hoping that when the resolution was presented by Councilman Allen, that it would be passed without any question being raised on whether or not it was political, social, or what have you, that since we consider Dr. King as the peacemaker of our generation, that the city government would have seen this and would not have had to argue or debate it or raise any questions about it.
Well, now that they did, what are you going to do about it?
We intend to, at this point, send some letters out to the 4 city councilmen who dissented, and we're looking at the possibilities, in lieu of this and some more problems in the city, of a recall vote on some city councilmen.
What is your attitude toward the Dallas City Council because it did not pass this? Do you feel it's that they did not pass the resolution just because Martin Luther King is black?
That's precisely my feelings.
I've really never had desires to be a coach. I feel like, however, that I am capable of handling the job.
Let's go that again. Yeah, let's do it.
So far, the only thing...
Ame ame fure fure karasan ga Jano me de o mukae ureshii na Pichi pichi chappu chappu ran ran ran. Kekko desu.
Arigato. So tomorrow morning I'm off on what will be an exciting trip. I'm looking forward to it. Is there a phrase in Japanese that means until we meet again?
Dewa mata.
Dewa mata.
Hai.
So, ladies and gentlemen of our Channel 8 viewing audience, it's been a pleasure being with you. Dewa mata.
Dewa mata.
Dallas represents about 2% of our overall assembly capacity, and the supply of vehicles to our dealers and customers can be readily supplied from other locations.
Furthermore, we can find no way around the brutal fact that the economic distribution of cars and trucks from Dallas is limited by its geographic location. Texas and the rest of the Southwest is a rich and valued automotive market, and the present Dallas capacity of 30 cars and 12 trucks an hour is just about right for the regional demand. But to justify required modernization expenditures, we would have to operate the Dallas plant on 2 shifts, and this volume would be in excess of local demand for the foreseeable future. Thus, we would have to ship about half of the production to other markets at a freight penalty compared to our other sources.
Well, it's unbelievable. We couldn't believe it when we were first told that the Ford plant would be shutting down. The older seniority people, some of them had tears in their eyes.
The company has said they'll pay transportation costs and so forth if you want to stay with the company and work somewhere else. What's the feeling about that?
Well, for those of us who are single and newly employed, this would be easy enough, but for the older, more seniority employees, it would be inconceivable to move their whole family out of state.
Would you move away from Dallas to work for Ford?
No, I won't, because I've got too much at stake here.
Do you feel this is the same with most of the other people who work here?
That's right. I mean, I'm young and I can find a job for these other people that's older. Well, I just don't see how they can find a job.
We have provisions in our contract for attempting to relocate as many of the people as possible in other plants, and we don't have any of the details of this right now. This will be taken care of through meetings with the union and the company. The International Union will be involved in these meetings. First, they will probably be meeting in Detroit with the International Union, attempting to get the company to reconsider and try to keep this plant open. If that fails, then they'll be attempting through our contract to get as many of these people placed that want to be placed in other Ford plants around.
A lot of these employees are older employees that have a lot of years with the company, but they also have families and roots here in Dallas. What about them?
Well, in the case of most of those, my own thinking would be that the oldest ones of the bunch would be close enough to retirement. A lot of those will probably take some type of retirement.
Well, they're not, they have all kinds of trades. They're painters, they're body men, they're upholsterers, they're mechanics, and these are skills that can be mustered into all sorts of other industries that are here in town. And they're not just assemblers per se, but they're skilled craftsmen in varied kinds of trades. And you don't want to say that there's not going to be some dislocation and hardship. Inevitably there'll be some. But I believe there's a good start going to be made on minimizing it and absorbing them into the community life.
All suspected cases will be turned over to the Justice Department for investigation and appropriate action. I'm therefore announcing today my intention to instruct all directors of all 64 SBA offices throughout the nation to search their files for Mafia suspected cases. We want these loans made by previous administrations exposed and terminated immediately.